Well, let's speak now to Azadeh Pourzand, human rights researcher at the School of Oriental and African Studies here in London. Azadeh, thanks for joining us on Outside Source. How worrying is this development of executing protesters with little or no justice?
Yes, thank you for having me on your show. What we saw today is both extremely worrying, but also it was expected by the human rights community who has monitored the situation of human rights in Iran in the past many years, and in particular in the past nearly 3 months of the protest. I think one of the things that, other than the fact that this is an execution, it's obviously a tragic as tragic as it can get. A couple of points here. Iran has a track record of executions every year. Hundreds of people are executed in Iran. So this is not unique in the sense of the sentence. But what is really worrisome is, as I think your coverage also stated, the even shorter time that it has taken the judiciary to issue and execute a sentence of this nature. Iran already, the Islamic Republic already does not adhere to the various stages of the due process, and especially with securitized charges like waging war against God. The access, for example, to lawyer is even more limited. But I think we are just going to see, unfortunately, a pattern of even faster rates of executions that we have seen before. As an intimidation technique.
Azadeh, will this execution, will this kind of justice have an impact, do you think, on protests and protesters that are happening now?
I think that's the hope of the Islamic Republic's regime, to intimidate the protesters by way of these executions. As you saw, the use of the lethal force and the killings and the detentions of thousands and the tortures, they haven't been effective in sending the protesters home. And personally, I don't think that the executions are also they're not going to be effective in sending the protesters home, especially because, unfortunately, in Iran, we are familiar with executions. This is not something that has happened today. But I think that the Islamic Republic is certainly going to use it more and more as a way to intimidate the protesters and to also tell the world that they simply do not care about the international community's requests and demands and reactions.
I wanted to ask you about that because we have had very strong statements from the French, the British, now the Americans, obviously. How important is that international pressure for the protesters and for what they are aiming for?
For the protesters, these international reactions are absolutely critical to make them feel seen, heard, recognized by the world, because their own government is simply not listening to them and instead is killing them. So it's absolutely key. In terms of the Islamic Republic's regime's behavior, personally, I do not think that they are going to change behavior, because they've had, years and years of opportunities to do so, to reform themselves, to change their behavior. And it looks like they have decided to just be at war with the world as well as their own people. However, the problem is,
Azadeh, I'm so sorry. I do apologise, but we are running out of time at the end of the programme. But Azadeh Pourzand, it's been so good to talk to you. I do appreciate your time. You're watching